The content of this video is not medical advice or a substitute for physical therapy. Please consult your physician or physical therapist before starting any exercise program.
Today's tip is all about glute activation. Specifically, I'm going to give you several exercises to work on activating gluteus medius, an important pelvic stabilizer that's located around the side area of your buttocks. Now, I say it's important because it's responsible for maintaining a relatively level pelvis during walking and running. So for all my walkers and runners out there, you need to make sure this muscle is working right for you, because when it is reflexively shut down by the nervous system for any reason, so if it's been unplugged by your nervous system, whether it's because of injury or surgery or just poor mechanics over the years, then you will start to, at some point, get knee pain, low back pain, and even hip pain. So it really pays to make sure you know where this muscle is and you know it's working for you. All right, now for my first exercise, all you're gonna need is a wall. And I bet you got one of those around somewhere. So you're gonna buddy up to the wall and place your inside foot against the wall. I'm actually gonna just pull my pant leg up so you can see what's happening at my foot and ankle, but also at my knee. And then I'm gonna place my forearm on the wall as well. So I've got my elbow bent at a right angle. I am not leaning against the wall with my shoulder. I just have my foot against the wall and my forearm against the wall here. Now, your outside leg, so the leg that's going to be doing all the work, needs to be lined up underneath your pelvic bone. So each leg is under its respective pelvic bone and your feet are parallel, meaning they're both pointing forward. You're not toed out or toed in. Now, what I want you to do once you've gotten that is make sure that your pelvis is relatively vertically oriented. So that means that if you tend to carry your pelvis tilted forward a little bit like that, go ahead and see if you can talk your tailbone into dropping a little bit. I don't want you to tuck. I just want you to be a little bit more toward vertical so that you actually can access this muscle. Now, once you've got your pelvis aligned, all I want you to do is very gently rotate your thigh bone of this outer leg away from your midline. So you're literally just turning the thigh bone in the hip socket away from your midline, but keep your big toe on the floor. Now, if you over rotate, when I give you this little cue, if you pull too hard and you over rotate, you're gonna say, oh my gosh, my knee hurts a little bit, or my big toe has left the floor and I'm on the outer edge of my foot. I want you to have even pressure across your 5 toes on that foot. And I also want you to make sure your knee is not hurting. So this should not hurt you to do this very gentle lateral rotation of the thigh bone in the hip socket. Now, once you've got that, you will notice that your arch has lifted a little bit. Especially those of us with flatter feet will be like, oh my goodness, there's an arch there. So once you've got your arch lifted, that's great, but you'll also start to feel a little something in this outer buttock area. Now, if you don't feel a little something in this outer buttock area, let's troubleshoot. So one thing to check in with is your knee. If you have hyperextended your knee or you're over gripping with your quad, you might not feel this. So let's make sure the knee is straight, but it's not hyperextended or slammed straight. So you can have a straight knee, but let it be a little bit soft. So the action, the real work here is in that slight lateral rotation of the hip. But remember, it's gentle. All right, now once you've got that and you're feeling the arch of your foot activate and you're feeling this outer buttock activate, you can start to gently press against the wall with your forearm and your inside foot here. And what that's going to do is shift just a little bit more weight onto this outer leg and make this area work a little bit harder. So you might even feel it start to burn after a moment or two. You're gonna hold that activation for about 5 seconds, so count out 5 Mississippis, and then you're gonna ease off. Now you can practice 5 of those at a time, or just practice until you feel like it's starting to really burn, which might be 3 times, because this is a pretty intense little activation when it's done right. Now, once you've got this dialed in, and I do mean dialed in, I want you to make sure you're actively feeling this muscle fire. You can add a little progression of a knee bend. So we're going to do this whole thing again. You're going to start with just gentle lateral rotation of that thigh. So you're rolling that thigh bone away from your midline. You're keeping your big toe down. Your knee is not hurting. You can feel that glute firing a little bit. You're going to press yourself away from the wall with your arm and your foot. And once you're here, so you've got the activation, you can just add a little knee bend, right? So you can just do a little tiny knee bend. So this is not about squats or anything like that. But once you're active and you've got this muscle engaged, just a little knee bend and straighten is enough to really get this thing to ramp up, and you will feel it burn a little bit. You will know you are in the right place here. All right, now before I go on to my next exercise, I just want to remind you that if you find this content helpful, please click like, click subscribe, leave me a comment. I love comments. It lets me know I'm on the right track with this content for you, and I answer every single one of them. So go ahead and leave me a comment, but share with your friends and family and help us get the information out to folks like you who are really benefiting from it. We really appreciate your help with that. All right, so my third exercise involves a step. I'm going to use a block. You could also use a block. You could use a thick book, but you just need a little something to get yourself up and off the floor. And you're going to step on that step with your whole foot. And this is not a balance exercise, so feel free to hold on to a chair or a wall or something like that. I just didn't have anything to hold on to, so I'm going to balance. But you don't have to balance for this. In fact, if you find this area hard to activate, having something to hold on to will make the exercise just a touch easier so that your nervous system can give you access to this muscle. I know it sounds crazy, but sometimes you just need to make it a little easier. All right, now what you're going to do once you're up on this step is you're going to push with the foot on the step and drive this outer hip up. So I say outer hip only because it's not the hip on the step. So drive it up in the air higher than your working leg, and then you're going to come back to level. And again, I mean, like I can touch my foot down here and it doesn't ruin the exercise. It's not about balance. So you press with this foot that's on the step and drive this other hip up, and then return to level. Now, that's level one of this exercise. And if you do it correctly, if you're just driving from this foot on the step, you will feel a good little burn going on in that glute med. You'll feel that working really well. Now, if you want to make it a little harder, if you've gotten this and you feel like, okay, yeah, that's easy, I've got that dialed in, then you can actually drop this hip a little bit and then drive the hip all the way back up into the full position. So you actually add a little bit of range of motion. That makes it a little bit more intense, and you can really feel that guy working. So make sure you use the level that works best for your body, and make sure you're not pushing through any pain or strain in any of these exercises. Okay, that's all I've got for you this week. I hope you found that helpful. Until I see you next time, keep moving and be well.